fans everywhere. It's your favorite dynamic duo. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I said favorite dynamic duo, Bernie. We are the favorites.
Yeah. May not be the best, but we're the favorites.
Yes. Usually, though, when we get together like this, Bernie, though, we're off the rails.
Yeah,
And
early.
I'm not on these as much anymore. You're leading the dream team of this squad here, but we got a fun one this week, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting ready for the Spencer McKenzie's Throwdown, an epic weekend. $300,000 on the line for one tournament for one weekend. It's going to be an incredible 3 days. We're headed out to Ventura, California, back to do it all over again. Bernie, we had so much fun last time. It was our first time last time, but now we are throwdown experts. I can't wait for this year.
I'm always kind of freaked out by the weather, man. I want to be honest. It's not going to be quite as hot as last year, and we're coming in following a hurricane, which is kind of interesting. But, it's 72 for a high in Ventura, right? And you get that layer that kind of comes in. It's super cool at night when the sun goes down. But then we're also going to spend some time in the valley again where it's like 1,000,000 degrees in the afternoon. So California kind of freaks me out.
I looked at the weather, and it's supposed to be like sunny, 85, 85, 86 the 3 days. So it's going to be warm.
In Ventura? Hold please. Challenge.
Bernie says I don't.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now, 70, 72, 73, 75.
Well, they just had all that weather. I'm saying this coming weekend, Bernie.
That's what I'm watching. That's what I'm looking at. Coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, really? Well, that's even better. I like that better.
I think you're right. If it's sunny, it's going to be warm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be I'm hoping it's just warm. Because the thing is, though, last time, remember, we had like we said, 4 different seasons in one day.
Yep.
I mean, it was the conditions were incredible to watch and be a part of. But overall, I think it's just going to be a blast. I can't wait for it. So we got over 1,000 teams competing for this $300,000. We have our incredible Pro Invitational to kick off the weekend. So Pro Invitational, the American Cornhole League, our top 8 men, our top 8 women in pro single standings pairing up. You guys drew those masterclass of a drawing last week, Bernie. Kudos for the masterclass drawing you guys put
by the way, were you watching? People were in the chat saying, we got to see your hands, like we were faking the drawing.
Yes, you were. Bernie was 100% faking the drawing.
Yeah, 100%. I was writing in what I wanted. That's how that whole thing played out.
So that was incredible speed in which you could decide who you wanted to in just that split of a second.
It's amazing. I know. Yeah. It was talent. Yeah.
So we got our Pro Invitational. That'll kick things off. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. local time in Ventura for our ACL Pro Invitational. You don't want to miss that. That'll be on ESPN2. Women's doubles will also kick off the weekend. That starts at 1 p.m. local time, so it'll be 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll play some preliminary play before the broadcast and finish it up afterwards. Blind draws going all day long. But then into Saturday, that's when it really ratchets up. We have over 1,000 teams competing for that grand prize. And throughout the entire day, they'll be seated into brackets. Those brackets will play out on Sunday. And then, of course, it all culminates to the championship broadcast. For the first time ever, Spencer McKenzie's Throwdown going to be on television. It's going to be on ESPN2 Sunday night, 7 p.m. local. That's 10 p.m. Eastern, right after Sunday Night Baseball. So make sure you guys tune in if you aren't able to go. But it's going to be a great one. So tonight, Bernie and I are going to talk through some of our top teams and kind of got some interesting names on these lists.
Yeah.
To kind of go through these, but it's a different type of vibe when you preview this type of event, Bernie. One, because it's a festival, it's a party atmosphere, right? It's a different element. But then number 2 is you don't have people playing with their own partners and they're playing outside. The conditions play a factor. It's a completely different bag game.
Yeah. Element being the right word. Thinking about elements that they're going to have to deal with, especially if the wind kicks up. it was pretty impressive watching some of those teams grind through the wind last year, because I'd never experienced it before. I don't know if you'd ever been out there just randomly before, but I've never experienced, because when that marine layer comes through and the wind kind of kicks up and you're still having to find a way to throw a flat bag and make shots, I mean, it's pretty impressive watching these folks grind.
Yeah, and I mean, just the conditions that you're going to have to fight through all day, be slick in the morning, then it's going to be sticky, and then it's going to get real fast, and then it's going to get real sticky.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
You got to be able to either adjust bags or adjust your throw, or which way. So, all right, it's going to be a fun evening. We're going to preview some of our teams that we're watching heading into Ventura this weekend. We're going to take our first break. When we return, we'll dive into Bernie's first 5 teams. We got 10 each tonight. This is crazy. We're off the rails. So Bernie's got his first 5 teams we're going to preview tonight here on ACL Live. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ACL friends everywhere. We are previewing, or whatever that word
is. It's easy for you to say.
Yeah. That is the 2023 Throwdown by Spencer McKenzie's out in Ventura, California. This weekend, August 25 through 27, 2 television broadcasts. The first one kicking off the weekend on Friday is the Pro Invitational. But, of course, what everybody's getting excited for, that Throwdown semifinals and finals. Going to be going Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. If you're not able to make it, make sure you tune in on ESPN2. But without further ado, Bernie, let's start talking about some of the top teams, or even maybe just some teams we got our eyes on going into this massive Cornhole Festival weekend. Bernie, we each got 10 teams. Let's start with your first 5 teams that you're watching this weekend in Ventura.
All right, team number 1. Jamie Graham, still kind of riding high off being a singles world champion, second time ever. Playing with a player, I know it's Fire Cornhole. I know these guys know each other well from the Carolinas region. They simply don't play that well together most of the time. And so this to me seems like, hey, either we're winning this whole thing or we're out early and we can enjoy watching our friends play. That's what this pairing kind of seems like to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but they teamed up in Fort Worth this year to shoot out. They don't mesh well as a partnership normally. However, you get them both in their A games, who knows? But this kind of a surprising duo here for me.
You know what's so funny is anytime we do these type of events, I feel like every inkling that I have just needs to get thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Because we're outside. Because I have no idea how these things are going to go, right? The good news is for this team is the one thing I got to consider with each and every team that I look at on this list is, do they have the technique to fight through elements if elements play a key? And in this case, I have two players that can fight through the elements, right? The only thing that worries me about Eric Davis is just, does he get too frustrated if everything's not going his way, because he's such a good manipulator of a bag that in some instances he can get too frustrated. The good news is Jamie Graham is as back to being Jamie Graham as he ever was. He's playing more confident than ever. I had a chance to interview him just this past week in the HQ. He's confident and he's happy and he's glad where he is in his life. And he's right now, it's hard to bet against Jamie Graham.
No, I hear you, but like one of the things that if Jamie has an issue with doubles, Jamie kind of lets it known if he's not happy with your decision, right? There's partners that kind of, hey, you play your game, I'll throw my bags, you throw yours, we're fine, right? You make a mental error, Jamie's going to kind of roll his eyes and shake his head and let you know, right? And I don't think that's why they mesh very well. However, like you were saying, I mean, talent-wise, if both these players get on the same page, could win, could easily win, right? It's a curious pairing for me. Number two, I had to do a shout out, right? I couldn't have 10 teams listed and not shout out to K9, Wally Kassler, and Sean Latham. Had to have them in here. And here's the thing, folks. If you lose to Wally and Sean, you literally will never hear the end of it, ever.
Ever.
Wally can play. All right, Wally can play a little bit. If you lose to Sean, you're literally going to hear about it for the rest of your cornhole life.
Rightfully so. And I give him full permission, absolute full permission to never let whoever it is live it down. And the thing is, Bernie, in these conditions, this is where you might get it, right? I mean, people give up 10s at Spencer McKinney and don't give up 10s. I mean, if you got that one round where the wind takes your bags and then their opponent's doesn't, and it can flex like that, and then all of a sudden you're giving up 10 spot. Don't give up a 10 spot.
That's what I'm worried about with Sean, though. Sean's my guy. All right, Sean's my guy, but I'm worried about if the wind picks up, all of a sudden there's some zeros that he's throwing back to Wally. So we'll see. Anyway, number three, has there been a better doubles team on the planet this year? I don't think so.
No.
They've won 3 major tournaments in a row, back-to-back nationals, finishing off with a world championship. What a quadruple win this would be if they found a way to win this tournament.
Insane. I mean, it's the best season we've ever seen in doubles. Whether or not you're ready to crown them the best doubles team or whatever.
At least for a season. At least for one season, right?
For one season, there's never been a team better. Even go back and look at Jamie Graham and Matt Guy and that dominant run that they were on. They didn't win a world championship. They didn't win 3 out of the 5 events that we had. And not to mention, you can even say they didn't have a greatest start to the season. I mean, the second half of the season, I mean, something that we may never see again, Bernie.
Yeah. I was trying, I love making golf analogies, and I was trying to make a golf analogy with this, and it's impossible because really it would be a Grand Slam, and the World Championships would be more like more like the Players Championship. I can't really do it, but they've won essentially 3 majors this year, and they're going for what would be like the Players Championship. They're going for essentially 4 of the 5 biggest tournaments of the season. Well, yeah. For us, it'd be like 4 of the 6 biggest tournaments, but it's an unbelievable. And I'm pulling for them, actually, openly pulling for them to win it because it would be the greatest double season of all time, and it wouldn't be an argument. Number 4, Devin Harbaugh, Ryan Windsor. Hear me now, believe me later. Something tells me we will see them on Sunday night on television.
Again, back-to-back years. That's so hard to do, Bernie.
So hard to do. There's certain guys in certain tournaments and certain conditions that I don't feel Devin feels the pressure out here that he does sometimes in nationals. And I love Devin Harbaugh. He's my guy. I had him number 1 to start the season in my power rankings. I'm still a huge Devin Harbaugh fan, but I think he feels a lot of pressure, puts it on himself to be dominant and to do well in nationals. And I don't think he's done all that well this season outside of the first one in Corpus Christi. But you get into a situation like this where I don't think he puts that kind of pressure on himself, and he can just be one of the most creative, one of the best bag talented guys in the world, and you put him alongside a Ryan Windsor who knows how to win, who knows how to be crafty and play in these conditions. Don't be surprised if you see him on TV Sunday night.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that I think whether or not they're the favorite to win, they're gonna win, all that kind of stuff. I mean,
It's a toss-up when you get
go
this
back
guy.
to what I said about Jamie Graham and Eric Davis. The first checkbox for me is, do I have players that have the technique that can fight conditions? The checkbox is yes, and then everything else on top of that is just gravy, right? I mean, they can. There's no reason why this team can't be one that goes on another run again. It wouldn't shock anybody if they're all the way back there at the end on that Sunday night broadcast, Final Four teams, because they're experienced players. They know how to handle the pressure, and obviously they've already won this event once before. So it certainly would not shock me again to see it there.
And to round out my first five, I thought Blaine Rozier, especially in the second half of the season, really kind of cemented his status in the pro division this season. Really, I think took giant leaps forward. And then you've got Matt Sorrells. Welcome back. Come on back, Matt Sorrells, right? If we get the Blaine Rozier that's been playing kind of the second half of the year that he's been having, and let's say Matt Sorrells is able to turn the clock back a little bit, do I see him on TV Sunday night? I think that's a stretch, but could they knock out some big names along the way? Absolutely.
Yeah, I love this. I saw it on your list, and you beat me to it because I was going to put him on mine, right? Blaine Rozier was red hot the second half of the season. I mean, just unbelievable. I saw him, I think, hit like 32 out of 33 bags or something like that against Jay Rubin and Jordan Power at Worlds. We saw him go on a deep run in a different tournament. I mean, he's truly starting to really get in that range, and I think it's a testament to practice and dedication, right? Mm-hmm. When you can practice against the best in the world, and when you talk about who he's practicing with in Florida right now, I'm seeing the TikTok videos, right? He's got his practice routine is Matt Sorrells, Fisher Hamilton, Alex Rawls. I mean,
iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah, if you're practicing with those guys on an everyday basis, you're only going to get better. Now, the big question mark is, what do we get out of Matt Sorrells? At one point, Sorrells was at the pinnacle of this sport. He was a doubles world champion alongside Emery Parker, and arguably that season, he did a lot of the scoring, and Emery Parker was there to hit timely airmails, right? Right. But Matt Sorrells was such a dominating player. Then, life happened, right? And that's the best way I can describe it. He just wasn't all in on the sport. And now you're starting to see that fire kind of resurface. Now, if there's anywhere where Matt Sorrells and his type of personality can succeed, it's in this type of atmosphere. I mean, he's the one that's going to bring the energy. If you're not bringing it, he's going to bring it, right? So I really like this team, Bernie. I think it can be quite sneaky.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
All right, that's Bernie's first five. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll go through my first five and see which ones you guys like better. How's that sound? Does that work for you, Bernie?
It works well for me, man.
All right, we'll be back right after this. Well, welcome back, Cornhole fans everywhere. We're back here on ACL Live. Your favorite thing to do on Monday evening is to spend it with Trey and Bernie, and Bernie's dance moves.
Yeah, man. I'm ready, dude. I'm ready to get on a plane for 5 hours.
Aren't
I'm
you?
ready. I'm psyched.
So this is going to be one of those times where I kind of humble brag, but also like self-deprecate a little bit, like about what I'm going to have to do. So I don't know if you know, I'm flying directly from Ventura to Paris.
Whatever, man.
So literally I will leave LA because I'm going to the Paris Open. I leave LA Tuesday at 7 a.m. I land in JFK at 3:30. Then I have to get on another plane at 5:30 from JFK, and I land at 7 a.m. in Paris. So it's going to be
City of Lights, baby. City of Lights.
City of Lights.
You get to take Shelby?
Yeah, she's going.
Wow, how awesome is that? That's pretty cool, man.
So I'm excited. Not excited for Tuesday. Excited for Wednesday. So say a prayer. All right. So Bernie gave me his first 5. Time to go through my first 5 that we're looking at here. I saw Wally just jumped in the chat, and Wally didn't even see.
Oh my goodness! Come on, man. The guy rips on me all the time when I'm not around, and I actually threw him in on the on my top 10 list. That's upsetting. It's upsetting.
All right, let's go through mine. All right, first one. This one's kind of I alternated and went through some that were like not exciting, but like also exciting and intriguing. But the first one is pure domination. If there is any event in which I'm picking players that can fight through conditions, it's got to be Gavin Cano and Fisher Hamilton. Right? Fisher Hamilton used to playing outside. Like he does it all the time. I see the TikTok videos. Gavin Cano's got the bag for it, right? This is a team that outside of a broadcast court, the most dominating team, like, you know, they were almost equivalent to Eddie and Caleb. Eddie and Caleb this year just played some of their best games on the broadcast court. And that's really the very small things. We're talking about the most dominating team we've ever seen for a season in Fisher Hamilton and Gavin Cano, and really the main difference just being what happened on a broadcast court.
Theoretically, they could have had a better season, right? I mean, they had their chances to have been even better than Eddie and Caleb were this year. So I'm with you, man. I saw this. I was like, you know, are we going to see them on television again? Probably. Do they win it again? Do they win? I just don't know.
You know, and the thing is, though, if you're looking at a team and they make it all the way, it's a coin flip. Make it all the way there at the end, it's a coin flip. So we'll see ultimately if they can put it all together. Next up, Cameron Belvin and Noah Wooten. And part of the reason I'm so excited about this team is when you see them, yes, they're the power couple. Yes, right? They are expecting their first child. It's a feel-good story. Everybody's oohs and ahs, and they're going to be so – but here's the bottom line. They made the Final Four last year.
Yes, they did.
Right? So when we talk about of all these teams, out of these 1,000+ teams that are here, they were 4 of the best last season. They made it all the way to the broadcast court. So this isn't a sympathy pick. This isn't look how cool this is type of pick. This is a team that has experience playing at this event year in and year out. They know how to work the conditions. They know how to play it. They know who's throwing upwind. They know who's throwing downwind. They've got it figured out, and this is a team that people need to fear.
I agree. When you look at their history at this event, it's pretty strong. And the fact that they're naming their child after me, I can't express how honored I am for them to name their child Bernie. That really is special.
Bernie Wooten.
I mean, come on, man. How good is that? That's awesome.
Harold Bernard Wooten. I like it.
That is special.
Special is the word for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. Next up, okay, I'm loving this one, okay. Scott Lane and Chris Cuccia. We have the return of an ACL Pro team that from years ago. So for those of you, I'm going to give you guys a quick history lesson. Scott Lane and Chris Cuccia, if you put them in a pro event, solid finish. Every now and then they do really well. Every now and then, way back in the day, if you walked up to a cash tournament, you did not want to see Scott Lane and Chris Cuccia. All right. And this is the ultimate cash tournament, right? The one where you put up $50 and you're looking around like, who else is going to show up, right? And I'm trying to get that $1,000, that first place prize, right? This is back in the old days of cornhole. And then you'd see Scott and Chris show up and you'd be like, oh my gosh, they're going to win it. And they'd win it every time. They are specialists at winning money tournaments, and they are specialists at winning outside. So I'm particularly excited, one, to see these guys again, and two, to see them in their element where they succeed so well.
How much are they playing? Like how much cornhole they actually play nowadays?
I have no idea.
Because I'm curious. I mean, like, and I know we've talked about this all the time, but the game has matured quite a bit over the last few years. And I just don't know if you can just kind of stroll on out there and win tournaments anymore. You know,
no, but why not though? You know,
well, hey, if they're there, that is awesome. By the way, how loud does this room sound? I feel like this is like the biggest hall in the world. How loud it sounds.
By the way, Cameron Belvin in the chat with just the sick emoji.
Glad I can keep everybody on their toes for a night.
Just all for you. All for you. So, but yeah, so I think Lane and Kachia, they're just going to be fun to watch. Number 4, I got another team that made the Final Four last season, and that's Alex Hicks and Mark Richards. Now, this is a team that was really interesting last season just because, right, it was Mark Richards was having the incredible year. Alex Hicks was winning all of these open events. It was this incredible pairing. And then there was a lot of hype, and you're like, were they going to live up to it? And ultimately they did. They made it all the way to the Final Four. It was Alex Hicks's first broadcast appearance. You weren't sure how he's going to play. He played great. Ultimately, though, Harbaugh and Windsor were just too much to handle. So, again, both these players have another full year of experience. They have the bag, they have the bag flight, the bag trajectory, all the technique that they need in order to succeed in these type of conditions. And I think they're going to be poised to make another strong run here. And I love the dynamic between the two of them. It's kind of this like Jedi Padawan type of partnership that we got going on here. And I love it. I just think it's going to be another fun year of something to watch.
I really want Alex Hicks to make as many broadcasts as possible going forward because I don't think he's played his best yet there. And I don't think the random sporting public has had a chance to see how special this kid really is. So I would love for them to get back. And I would love for him to get on a broadcast court and give us that A game that is so special. And I would love for them to make it back. Because Mark's Mark. You know who he is. You know what you're getting. I really would like them to get back so we could actually see Alex play at his zenith.
Yeah, because it really is fun to watch. And then finally, number 5, I got Hunter Thorne and Tony Smith, two guys very close. I just saw in the chat that they're flying. They are also flying directly to Paris. They're going to the Paris Open. They're leaving Monday though, so they're leaving Monday, and they're going all the way out there. So obviously these guys, everybody knows they know each other super well. They also have all of the technique needed to succeed at these events. And really, there's going to be very few teams, when you look at it on paper, of the top 11 players in the world, 2 of them are on that team, right? You got number 1 and you got number 11. And anytime you add and you look at, 2 top 10 players, top 11 players essentially pairing up with one another, you got to expect high results from this team. I think this is one that can succeed. The only thing that I'm worried about beating these guys is Spencer McKenzie's, if you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. Fact. Yeah. You know what, man? Don't you feel like we've going through some of our pairings, some of our doubles teams that we've already listed, and normally we don't do it because we expect, in order of finish, and we say that a million times. Don't you feel like we've already kind of gone through a possible Final Four?
Yeah, you could argue that we've already covered some of the teams that will be in the Final Four, right? I think the only team I left off between our two lists, that's not in our top 10s, right? And by top 10s, people that were watching, there's one that we both left off that I was like, I just couldn't find a place to talk about him, was Justin Burton Jr. and Logan Chamberlain.
Same. That's so funny. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I want to put them on, but like, they're just like so good that it's just like, I'll just talk about something else. So, and they're going to have a really good week too. And of course, now we're talking about them. So you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so that's my first 5 teams that I'm watching this weekend. Ventura, California for the 2023 Throwdown. by Spencer McKenzie's. When we return, Bernie's back up. Harold Bernard Wooten is up next.
I mean, it just sounds great.
It just sounds awful. It's so bad. All right, we'll be back here on ACL Live. More talking through the throwdown right after this. All right, welcome back, Cornhole fans. Welcome back, fans of the future Harold Bernard Wooten.
I mean,
it's awful. Just awful.
It's a very classic first 2 minutes. You know, it's very classic, old school.
Classic is just the perfect word for it. Classic. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending your Monday night with us as we are previewing the 2023 Throwdown. That'll happen this weekend in Ventura, California. All culminates to that Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern broadcast on ESPN2, right after Sunday Night Baseball. If you're there local, it'll be at 7 p.m. local time. Ton of fun. Always brings a ton of energy. So it's a lot of fun. Someone calling me out, Nick Clausen says, in Group 105 at Spencer's coming for you. Bad news. I ain't playing. So,
by the way, I saw y'all on the list. I was so upset y'all weren't playing when you emailed me back.
I know, yeah. So you get a free dub. You get that. You get Trey and Shelby Rod. You get that free dub. So, make it easy on you guys. I couldn't get my better half to be there in time, so it is what it is. All right, Bernie, you ready to go through your final 5 teams that you're watching?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
All right, number 6. How fun were they last year on the broadcast? Trevor Brooks, Berkeley Perry. I mean, to me, this is the kind of team like this. Spencer's is this kind of team to me.
100%.
Does that make any sense to anyone? Like, this is exactly what Spencer's McKenzie's all about to me. And I love their fire. I love their passion for the game. I really, really, really hope we get to see them on television again because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to interplay with each other, the way they talk to each other, the way they fire each other up. Give me that all day. So I'm really hoping that we get a repeat of last year and them on the broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, remember last year when Trevor Brooks hit that backside airmail, literally the place shook so much it knocked the satellite truck over for a second. And they literally lost connection. Like, to this day, I can't even get a clip of that broadcast because the truck got moved or something like that. It was
loud. It was loud in there. So give me that all day again. So
and
that's
they always look. Even last year when Trevor, it was like his first year back, and he was kind of playing as a PDC player last year, and he wasn't that great last year. Like him and Berkeley still found their way all the way into that Final Four. That's what they do.
Yep.
They just find a way to win in these type of tournaments. And I think you said it best, Bernie, that this Spencer McKenzie's is what this is about. It's teams like this that got the energy, that can fight through the elements, that figure out how to win, and they find a way to win.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. I love team number 7, AJ Sims, Braden Wilson. And I've said this a million times since it's happened, but I've never been more impressed with an 11-year-old, soon to be 12 or maybe just turned 12. I've already told this story a million times. A young man comes up to me, 11 years old adults out there listening, and walks up, extends his hand and says, "Hey, I'm Braden. We've never met. I just wanted to introduce myself." Hey, adults out there, that's how you act as a good person. I mean, he's just a really well put together young man. So, and then you get AJ Sims, which is kind of the perfect partner for him. Kind of will let him be who he wants to be while he's out there playing. There's an extraordinary amount of talent. I loved when I saw that pairing together.
Yeah, and this is an ACL Pro team next season, right? They are pairing up together in the Pro division. You know, Braden Wilson going to be our new youngest ACL Pro in the division, and you know he comes with a lot of hype and a lot of support from Texas. And again, how much does this feel? Think about this for a second. How much does this actually feel like Eddie Grindersleeve, Caleb Batson 3-4 years ago?
It's so funny you say that. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was putting my list together. It's so funny.
Eddie Grindersleeve and AJ Sims, the guys that have been there, done that, the leaders in the state, in a state that's just absolutely overflowing with top-level talent right now. You could argue the best state in the country as far as cornhole talent goes. And he's going to take on and put under his wing a young, talented superstar that on the boards, when you watch him throw, there's no doubt they have the skill to play at the highest level. It's what's up here. Does the person have the ability to hone it in? And a couple of years ago, we saw flashes of Caleb Batson, but this year, them growing together and becoming this elite team, look at what they were able to accomplish. Now, I don't know if it's going to, at what rate Sims and Wilson could join together and create a great team. It may not be this season, Bernie, but I'm excited to watch this team because I feel like it's another one of those instances where we could see the growth of a Texas duo to ultimately become one of the best teams in the country, and I think that's just exciting to watch.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how they play outside. I mean, you know, it's been talked about a billion times what the weather's like at Spencer's. I'm interested to see how they play in the weather. Because I think they could actually cause people, I mean, obviously the talent level is there to cause a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, but if they could kind of stay focused, it's just a really interesting team to me, and I think the world of both these guys. So that's when I saw them on the list, I was like, all right, they've got to be on my list. Yeah,
and if you remember, I mean, it wasn't in the actual festival itself, but it was. Remember, we had our pro shootout there last year. AJ Sims in men's singles did make it all the way to the broadcast court as well, so he did show that he's got some success in these conditions, even if it directly wasn't in the shootout or the throwdown.
I put the Gores in here because they're a lot of fun. Everyone likes watching them play. But am I mistaken? Are they not playing together next season?
Yeah, this is kind of a swan song.
Right.
Jake Gore has not yet announced who he's playing with, but Jack Gore has announced that he's playing with Sammy Soto.
So how crazy is it that we're involved in a sport where we can look wantingly at a duo like, oh, where has the time gone? Oh, the past. They're 14. Right? I mean, that's crazy. That we're
veteran duo.
Is it the last time we ever see them? It's been so many. They're 14. I mean, that is crazy. So that being said, obviously they're probably going to play together at some point in the future in some tournament somewhere. But how cool would it be if they finish off this season making this broadcast? That's why I got them on my list. I think it would be.
Do you think the kids would have any type of cold feet if they just came in and won this whole thing?
Dude, how much fun would it be? How much fun would it be if some? We've already mentioned some of the great teams that we think might be there. I think it would be crazy if you had like a Trevor Brooks Berkeley pair throwing down versus the Gore brothers on television.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
Made for television. It's made for it. So
made for television. I love it.
Number 9. All right, we had the women's tournament. I want to talk about some of the ladies. Sam Finley, Rosie Streaker. I think they win the women's tournament.
Wow.
I do. And so that means they're probably not going to, by me saying that. I just feel like I think Sam has a bag that kind of can bite through the wind. I think Rosie, of the two, can be more distracted by the wind because she's kind of a straight line player. But I feel that's our winning women's doubles team, and that's why I put them on the list. And a lot of times I don't put people on the list because I think they're going to win. They're just going to be fun to watch. They're actually on my list because I think they win the women's doubles tournament.
Well, I mean, it's no surprise when you talk about women's doubles. In this case, the women's doubles tournament on Friday. If you're going to pick out a pair, if that's not a bad one to pick out, right? A 2-time women's doubles world champions. They are on the USA Cornhole national team this year for the women's doubles. So, I mean, you're talking about the future Cornhole Olympic team in women's doubles playing in a tournament. You got to think that they're going to be favored. And I think, and this is a team though that like I like Finley's style. She's got that, and by style specifically outdoors, she does actually have a relatively low trajectory that can kind of cut through wind. Whereas Streaker, as long as she's throwing downwind, this is going to be one of those instances where you're not going to see many times at the pro level. You're going to see someone stay arm over the board or arm outside of the board throughout an entire tournament and stay that way. This is like one of the few tournaments a year where they're actually going to decide upwind, downwind, if there is an upwind, downwind, and not a crosswind. So if that's the case, they're kind of hoping for that because let Rosie throw with the wind, let Sam throw in the wind, and I think they can have a pretty good level of success.
Yeah, I like them as a pair whenever they're together, but I especially like them this weekend. And number 10, to finish it off, Riley Schaaf, Tony Sposato. I put them on there because I think Riley Schaaf has a chance to be a future star, especially in women's cornhole, but in cornhole overall. When you watch her, I think she has a lot to learn about the game. It's a raw talent, if you will. But when you watch her play, the bag and the mechanics and the way the bag reacts, it's just – there's a real opportunity for her to be special in this game, and that's why I have them on my list. I watched her. Look, they haven't won a lot. I haven't watched her win. As a matter of fact, I saw her on the streaming court lose. But there's just something you can see it sometimes in someone, and there's something about the way she delivers the bag that when she figures out kind of how to work her way through a game, you're talking about a special player. And so I've got them on my list because I really want to see how she operates in this wind and handles being around 20,000 adults acting like idiots. You know what I mean? So like I've really had my eyes on her.
Riley to me is the definition of a prospect. Someone that you want on your list. You're like, that player is going to be good in 2 years. Right. That player is going to be really, really good. And it would not surprise me if she becomes a face of the women's game. She's got she's just got to keep getting that experience and grinding it out. This is a perfect place to get this type of experience because again, she's still a child of playing among all these different adults, and it's a different world. And but yeah, excited to see her play. And in the women's doubles division, it's going to be a good way for her to accentuate that.
And I love making sports analogies. To me, she's a pitcher. Right? She's a high school pitcher that just throws all kinds of gas, right? Yeah. She's got a live arm. They're going to get drafted, and a team is going to put them with the best pitching coach they can find in the minors. You know what I mean? Like there's so much to work with here. If we put them with the right person, we can make this happen. And that's what I feel like with Riley. There's so much there that, I don't know, in 2 years, could we see someone challenging for the upper echelon in the women's game? I think so.
You heard it here first. Bernie called it. All right. We got one more segment left, and this time we're talking through my last 5 players that I'm watching at the Spencer McKenzie's Throwdown. We are going to take our last commercial break. You don't want to miss these last 5. I got some crazy ones. Crazy ones. We'll be back. Welcome back, Cornhole fans everywhere. We are here going over Spencer McKenzie's Throwdown, the last major event here in the United States of the season. Going to be an incredible, incredible weekend. We've just gone through top 10 for Bernie. We've gone through first of my 5, and now we're here to look at my final 5 teams to watch. Bernie, by the way, I need a fish and shrimp burrito counter for this weekend because I'm gonna be 87 of
wow. You love those things. You love them.
I love those things. I love those things. So the food at Spencer McKenzie's is like part of the incredible excitement the entire weekend. So you don't want to miss that if you're going. So all right, Bernie, you ready for the last stretch?
Let's finish her off.
All right, let's start with a pair of California kids. All right. Vincent Frisch and Adrian Brunson, a pair of players that both PDC this past season, and they always had to play each other to get into that main bracket. I mean, it was always a poor draw that they had to fight each other in order to get all the way through. And more often than not, Vincent Frisch got the better of Brunson, but this team never really got the opportunity to play together in a bracket. And so we know how much damage that they can do. We hear it from all the people from the state of California. We hear how good Frisch and Brunson are. And really, Bernie, this is kind of their opportunity to prove that they belong. Yeah,
when I saw them on your list, well, not your list, but when I saw them on the entry list, I was like, what a big opportunity, right? I mean, why not be the local guys or not, state of California guys that really show out and make a broadcast and really kind of announce it? Because look, people from that area, you're right, have been talking about these two kids for a while now, for at least the last couple of years. Oh, you have no idea how good they are. Well, been hearing it for a while. And look, they're special players. But this would be a great opportunity for them to show out in their home state.
Yeah, and especially in their home state, it would be so much fun to watch. The next is the pair of very interesting players, right? 2 incredible doubles players in my mind, but more importantly, I would say experts of throwing in different varying conditions, and that is Derek King and Jacob Trzynski. Now, I don't have a personal record of these two ever playing together. Now, I could be wrong. They may have played in some small tournaments together, but this to me feels like a very new partnership, something very fresh, but one with a pair of players that are going to have every single type of shot. Now, Derek King is one of those old school OG players that is going to know how to throw outside, through the wind, sticky conditions, all of that. I think Trzynski has the ability to adjust in many different conditions as well. I think this was a late partnership, something that just came to fruition recently, and ultimately a lot of question marks around this one, Bernie, but I think this could be a team that could scare a lot of people.
For a number of reasons, I still think Jacob Trzynski has a lot he wants to prove. I think he plays with a little bit of his chip on his shoulder. I think he, especially more so, considering some of the future events that may happen, may not happen, who knows. But let me ask you, as a former player, is it hard because he has a natural tilt on his back? Is that harder to deal with in the wind if you have a little bit, like if it's not just a purely flat bag, is it harder to control? Because if the wind's, especially if the wind's coming left to right, not if you're not coming straight into it or straight downwind, is it tough to control with that natural little tilt on the back?
He can, but I think he keeps it low enough. I mean, he's got a low release point. It's low. It's closer to the ground when he releases. He's bent over. He's reaching, and I think that helps him keep it away from getting it too high up off the ground where it can get taken away by the wind. So I think he'll be okay by it.
Yeah, I like this. I saw this pair when I just saw it on your list. I was like, I like this.
Yeah,
because I think JT's got a lot to prove. I think he always kind of plays with a chip on his shoulder anyway. But a guy that's a top 15 in the world type of player now, and I don't know if he feels like he's getting the respect he deserves as high at the level that he's playing.
A little bit of Philip Lopez syndrome, right? I mean, you play with Mark Richards, you play with Tony Smith, and they're viewed as this number one guy. People forget how good Philip Lopez is. They forget how good Jacob Trzynski is. So
100%.
Another opportunity for Trzynski to showcase his talents. Next up, this is an interesting one. I don't know a lot about Caden Mason, to be all honest with you, Bernie, but I've been hearing things nonstop about Chris Roybal, okay? A young kid out of Arizona. And all I keep hearing is that he's beating everybody, okay? And he's got this weird arm motion when he throws, but when he shows up to these tournaments, he wins and he succeeds, and now he will be a pro next season. I'm interested to get my first opportunity to watch him intently. Like, I'm going to make sure I go out and watch him a couple times to see this, because there's a ton of hype coming from the West Coast around Roybal.
I find it interesting. Like, all right, so in the areas where cornhole has kind of been dominant for a long time, right? I mean, certain regions of the country, everyone knows where the talent's coming from. I feel like Texas was that state a couple of years ago where people were like, no, you need to see these people. You need to see these people. And now that's all come to fruition. I feel like the West Coast is now that kind of region. Like, we keep hearing how great all these players are, and it's time, right? It's time for some of these folks to really take that giant leap forward. So I'm curious, who is blowing up your ear holes with the love out of Arizona?
Well, so this is what I know, and this is not like blowing it up, right? I know for a fact that All Cornhole last November flew their pros out to Arizona to film a commercial. Gotcha. They flew James Baldwin, Jordan Kamba, Cheyenne Bubenheim, Frank Modlin, Ian Cripps, all of them to film a commercial. Roybal played in some type of ACL swap or something like that and beat them all.
Nice.
Beat them all, right? And so when you do that, you get my attention, right? And I'm like, wait a second, right? And, I had people petitioning me to, he needs to get a PDC spot mid-year. You got to do this. I'm like, no, he'll be there next year. But, I mean, it just shows you that there's a lot of people that are hyping up Roybal. So,
right on.
All right, then we're going into the women's doubles. You had your last two women's doubles. I also wanted to highlight some here. Number 9, I have Cheyenne Bubenheim and Gina Ramirez. I think this is such an interesting pairing. Obviously, I did not see Sarah Cassidy on the list. I'm assuming she's not going, which means Cheyenne Bubenheim looking for a different women's doubles partner than she normally competes with. She pairs up with Gina Ramirez, and Gina had herself a second half of the season. She went all the way from a PDC player to getting promoted to winning a shootout to being one round away from eliminating Cheyenne Bubenheim from the Women's Pro Shootout Championship, an event that she's now won back-to-back years. So Gina Ramirez has finished her year at a very high level. So I think this, I know Gina had to have been pumped when Cheyenne Bubenheim's like, hey, right? I mean, this is great for her. Ultimately, I think this is a huge win for Ramirez, and this could be an opportunity for her to have another statement win by winning this women's doubles tournament.
It's funny, when I saw them on the list, obviously I was like, I can't have Cheyenne on my list. Like, every time I had a list, and I put her on there, and so I didn't do it for that reason. But I like the fact that you did, because now I get to talk about her. I still think she's looking for one shot. I think she still believes in her heart of hearts that top 20, top 25 isn't really where she wants the top of her game to be. That's not her ceiling. She wants to go further. So I still think she's trying to find a way to get that one big shot. Like, kill shot is the word the phrase that keeps coming to my mind. I think this is a lot of fun for Gina Ramirez.
Yes.
Right? Now you get to throw bags down and you know what's coming back. Right? If you're Gina Ramirez, you got to think to yourself, if I just hold serve, if I find a way to just hold serve in this women's tournament, we probably win.
That's a good chunk of change too.
Right?
I mean, tournament's got a good chunk of change too.
Right? So I thought the pairing was interesting. I wonder if the pressure is on Gina too much, because obviously I think she knows if I hold serve, we win.
Yeah.
Right? And like, what kind of pressure does she put on herself, or does she just kind of free up for that very reason? Like, finally, I know what's coming back. I know points are coming back my way. So it's an interesting pair.
Yeah, I agree. And my last on my list is a pair of young ladies out of Hawaii. Okay,
there we
the
go.
Galvey girls, Alyssa and Michaela. Both of them, honestly, Bernie, The first time I really got exposure to them was at this exact same event last season. They went through and eliminated a ton of players competing that I thought were going to be shoo-ins to win this women's doubles tournament. This was the first opportunity where I got a taste of what the Calvi girls could do. And then throughout this season, we've seen little bits and opportunities of them and showcasing their skills. They're going to be a pair of players that we're going to continue to see for years to come. Like I said, I still view them as great prospects, right? So I think they're ahead of the development of, say, that Riley shot that we were talking about a little bit earlier. They can win right now. They have the ability to do that. The question is, can they keep doing it at a consistent level? Last season, they came in with their big Hawaii crowd, and they were the underdogs and everything, and it was such a great story. This year, they have a little bit more expectation, right? Sure. How many times do we see people that come in with expectation? How do they handle that? I'm rooting for them. I think they're so much fun to watch. The Hawaii crowd always brings a ton of energy, and they're fun to follow around to the different courts and see how they play. But ultimately, this is a team, Bernie, that a lot of people should and will have their eyes on Friday in women's doubles.
Hey, man, all about the 808, right? Big shout out to those folks going through. Obviously, not every island's the same. Not every island's feeling what just happened, but big shout out to the 808. I would love to see these. Wouldn't it be kind of fun to see them win, considering all that's gone on? I mean, I think it would be super cool if that were to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. So, all right, Bernie, that's it. Those are our top 10s, players, and teams that we're watching this weekend in Ventura, California. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on. Before you get to that, who do you think wins?
Who do I think wins?
Who do you think wins the Pro Invitational? Because you weren't on the show last week, so you didn't get a. I mean, did you talk about it on Around the ACL?
Not as. I mean, we did, but I didn't pick. You know what? I'll probably. Well, we do Around the ACL actually tomorrow. I'll say Jamie Cheyenne for Pro Invitational, and then I'll take Hamilton Kano in the big throwdown doubles.
Wow, it's hard to go against, right? I also had Jamie and Cheyenne in, but I think I'm going Caleb and Eddie. And I don't know if it transfers to that kind of win, especially when we get later in the afternoon and the winds pick up. I don't know if it does, but they're just so good right now. Their confidence level has to be at such a high level, right? They keep winning major tournaments. That has to do something for your confidence level. So I'm going to see if they can pull it off. 4 straight big tournaments. Crazy
to think they're going for 4 in a row. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in all weekend long, ACL Cornhole TV. Big broadcast Friday. That's this Friday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. local Pacific time out in Ventura will be our 2023 ACL Pro Invitational. Make sure you tune in for that to see all the top men and female cornhole players from across the country competing for that big $50,000 prize pool. Then on Sunday, the entire weekend culminates to that throwdown doubles championship. Over $300,000 given away on that Sunday, August 27th. The final broadcast will be at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 p.m. local in Ventura, right after Sunday Night Baseball. Make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait. I'll be there. Bernie will be there. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a party. You don't want to miss it. For my partner in crime, Mr. Bernie Neighbors, this has been Trey Ryder saying so long, and we will see you in Ventura.